Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhutade Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvashesha Shunivari Paschatade Shatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10, Chapter 32, Verse 9. Sarvasta Keshavaloka Paramotsav Nivrata Jahur Viraha Jamtapam Pragyam Prapya Yata Janaha. Sarva, all, ta, those gopis, Keshava, of Lord Krishna, Aloka, by the sight, Parama, supreme, Utsava, of festivity, Nivrata, feeling joy, Jahu, they gave up, Aviraha Jam, born of their separation, Tapam, distress, Pragyam, spiritually enlightened person, Prapya, achieving, Yata, as, Jana, people in general. Translation: all the gopis enjoyed the greatest festivity when they saw their beloved Keshava again. They gave up the distress of separation, just as people in general forget their misery when they gain the association of a spiritually enlightened person. Encircled by the gopis, who were now relieved of all distress, Lord Achyuta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, shone forth splendidly. My dear King, Krishna thus appeared like the supersoul, encircled by his spiritual potencies. Purport: the gopis are Lord Krishna's internal potency, and therefore when they were relieved and happy again, the Lord shone forth even more brilliantly than before, and his transcendental bliss increased. Krishna loved the gopis with pure transcendental love, and they loved him in the same pure way. The whole affair, conducted on the transcendental platform, is inconceivable to those bound in material existence. The Almighty Lord then took the gopis with him to the bank of the Kalandi, who, with the hands of her waves, had scattered piles of soft sand upon the shore. In that auspicious place, the breeze, bearing the fragrance of blooming kunda and mandara flowers, attracted many bees, and the abundant rays of the autumn moon dispelled the darkness of night. Okay. So these verses here describe the joy that the gopis had when Krishna appeared again after they did their kirtan. So it's described, it was like a great festival. Utsava means festival, also means great joy. So when they felt this joy, then the pain of separation disappeared. An example is given when people meet a spiritually enlightened person, one who is pragya. Then immediately they give up their pain of material existence. However, we know that already the gopis are not in the material world, so this is an example from the material world to illustrate something in the spiritual world. So there's only a comparison of the pain, not that the persons are similar. So often we get comparisons where the comparison is not exactly perfect. There is some defect in the comparison, and only part of the comparison may be given or used to show something. So here, the comparison is given to show the relief that they get and the happiness they get. Now, of course, when a person in the material world gets relief from their distress on seeing a enlightened person, that's obviously spiritual relief, so that part's okay. But previously they had material distress. It's not that they had spiritual distress and then they saw the spiritual person. They were having distress because of material existence and ignorance, etc. So that's not the case of the gopis. So they are not distressed because of material factors, but because of separation. So that's why it says virahajam. Their suffering was caused by separation from Krishna, not because of lack of enjoyment in the material world. So it was separation from Krishna which caused this. And so when Krishna appeared, they got some great joy. In the material world, people are suffering from material attachments, and then they get deprived of those things, and they suffer for that. And if they get enlightenment knowledge from a wise person, then their illusion is destroyed. And then they get spiritual joy. So in the case of the gopis, there's no destruction of illusion when they meet Krishna. Rather, it simply increases the joy that they felt. And of course, as I explained before, the suffering that they had is actually part of prema itself. So therefore, the comparison cannot be made exactly. So they met the Lord, and the Lord is here. The comment of Sukadeva Goswami is that the Lord here, Krishna, is called Bhagavan and Achyuta. He was surrounded by the gopis. So the word Bhagavan is appropriate here, not simply because he's the Supreme Lord, but he is a special form of the Supreme Lord, an extraordinary form of the Supreme Lord who manifests all the qualities of the Lord in the most spectacular way and a complete way, more than any other form of the Lord. So not only is Bhagavan, but he is the supreme form of Bhagavan. And because he is the supreme form, naturally he can do so without any endeavor. He can manifest all those qualities perfectly. So in this case, he is capable of manifesting all attractive qualities which will satisfy the gopis. They were distressed by the separation from Krishna, and when he appears, he is fully capable of satisfying them in all ways because he is Supreme Lord. So the nature of the Supreme Lord is to satisfy his devotee. He comes under control of his devotee and satisfies the devotee in all ways. So whatever the devotee desires, the Lord fulfills, like a desire tree or a chintamani stone. So the Lord is like chintamani, and whatever one desires, spiritually speaking, the Lord fulfills that. Right? Of course, the Lord does this for everybody, but particularly we see it with Krishna. He does it in a spectacular way. So he fulfills the desires of those who see him as their child, like Yasoda and Nanda. And he fulfills the desire of the cowherd boys who see him as a friend, an equal. And he fulfills the desire of the gopis who see him as their lover. So he does all of these things in the most spectacular way, not just with one or two persons, but with millions and millions of persons. And each one is satisfied. So that's the particular nature of Krishna, that he has all these different persons and all different rasas, and he satisfies them all by his wonderful qualities. So in the Nectar of Devotion there it mentions there are 64 qualities of the Lord. 4 are very special. So the first, of course, is his beautiful form, which the gopis see in a particular way, and is most attractive to them in conjugal rasa, just as the young women of Mathura, when they saw Krishna enter the arena, then they were immediately attracted to him, and he was like Cupid, the most beautiful, as was described here. He's more attractive than Cupid. So they fell in love with him because of his great beauty. But simultaneously, Vasudeva and Devaki saw him as their small child, not as Cupid. So here the gopis see Krishna as that Cupid, the most attractive person in conjugal rasa. So he can manifest all of these different qualities without effort because he's Krishna. So the first quality, of course, is the beauty aspect. And they're attracted to that certain beauty which invokes Madhurya rasa. Whereas Yasoda and Nanda are attracted to the beauty of Krishna that invokes Vatsalya rasa. They see him as a helpless child, so they try to protect him in all cases. But the gopis do not see him like that. So they see him in another way, and most attractive for Madhurya rasa. So the form is most sweet. And then the second quality is that he's surrounded by devotees who are in the sweetest relationships. So this is the nature of the Supreme Lord, that he has millions and millions of gopis around him. He has millions and millions of cowherd boys around him who have a very sweet relationship with Krishna, and millions of elders around him as well, and all in different rasas. And among the, as I mentioned, among the gopis, then even there in Madhurya rasa, so many great varieties are there within that, and different personalities. And Krishna fulfills all of their desires. So therefore he is surrounded by all these sweet devotees, and he fulfills all their desires very, very wonderfully in the sweetest way. So that's the 62nd quality, very, very nicely explained. And then the other quality is his sweet pastimes. So, of all the pastimes, ultimately, the Acharyas conclude that the Ras Lila is the most exalted of all pastimes, of all Lila, of sweet pastimes. So, there is a description of the difference between Krishna and Vishnu in the first section of the eastern section of the Bhagavatam, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And there it says, in one section, it says that, well, Krishna and Vishnu are actually the same. It's one Bhagavan. But the outstanding feature of Krishna is that in terms of rasa, he excels. The rasa is more variegated. The rasa is more intense. The rasa is sweeter, etc. So with Krishna, the rasa becomes distinct. And then the commentary on that is, what is that rasa? Manifested in pastimes like Ras Lila. So therefore the Ras Lila is taken as the example of manifestation of Krishna's rasas, and Madhurya rasa. So all the pastimes are sweet in Vrindavan, but the Rasa Lila is considered to be the ultimate pastime, the ultimate display of sweetness in all ways. So that's another distinguishing feature of Krishna. And of course, the last feature is his sweet flute, which he already played, and through that he bewildered the gopis completely, and therefore they came to the Ras Lila. So those four qualities are manifested in Krishna in this pastime of the Ras Leela. So these are the special qualities of Bhagavan that distinguish him from the other forms of the Lord. And he's called Achyuta. So chut means to fall or to deviate, whatever. And Achyuta means undeviated, not falling at all, fixed, very, very fixed. So, of course, it can apply to Vishnu or any form of the Lord because they are fixed in their spiritual forms. They're not influenced by ignorance or the material world. So it's a general quality of the Lord in general as a feature of Bhagavan. But in the case of Krishna, then it takes on a special meaning in special pastimes. So the words are used to indicate some feature of Krishna in that pastime. So here, Krishna is called Achyuta, or unfailing, or not falling, deviating, because he does not deviate from his promise to fulfill the desires of his devotees. So he always wants to satisfy them. He never leaves them in a state of continual suffering. So that is the case here. Krishna, when he heard the verses of the gopis when they did kirtan on the bank of the Jamuna, then he appeared. So he did not fail to respond to the plea of the gopis when they were suffering. So in that sense he is Achyuta. He does not fail in his vow to satisfy his devotees. So in this way he was most appreciated by the gopis, because he manifested all of these wonderful qualities which satisfied them completely. And it says here that he shone Virochata, but adhikam, extra. He shone greater than he shone when he was by himself, because he was surrounded by the gopis. And it says, just as the Lord is surrounded by his Shaktis, and then he appears wonderful. So Krishna was surrounded by the gopis who had given up their lamentation, and he shone very brilliantly. So obviously if the gopis are lamenting, they cannot make the Lord more beautiful in that position. So they gave up their lamentation and they were full of joy. So they surrounded the Lord, and this made the Lord shine. So the Lord is more beautiful in combination with his devotees, and particularly we see here with the gopis. He became more brilliant than he was when he was by himself. Later in the description of the Ras Leela itself, then it describes that Krishna was like a jewel surrounded by gold. The gopis are golden in color, and he's in the middle like the sapphire. So that combination made more beauty than either of them, although either the gold or the jewel has some beauty, but when they're combined, then become more beautiful. That combination is more beautiful. So in this way, Krishna became more beautiful when he was surrounded by the gopis. Of course, we can understand that the Lord is never alone. And so there was never a time when only God existed and then suddenly he said, okay, I want to have some devotees, so then he expanded himself. No, it's eternal. So the Lord is never alone. The Lord has his Shaktis by which he has eternal manifestation of a Dhamma, spiritual world, and devotees in the spiritual world, and activities and qualities and forms in the spiritual world. They're always there eternally through his Shakti. So that creates the greater beauty. The Lord alone is, of course, wonderful, but the combination with his devotees in the spiritual world and the pastimes they perform produces the greatest beauty and the greatest bliss. So that is why the devotees deride liberation. Because in that state, there is no variety. Everything is one. There is no forms, there's no qualities, no activities, no variety at all. But when there is that great variety manifested through the Shakti of the Lord, we get the greatest bliss. So the nature of the Lord is bliss, and that is expressed through this manifestation of all these devotees in the spiritual world, and ultimately the gopis. This produces the, let's say, the astonishing beauty of the spiritual world, the Lord with his devotees. So, among all the devotees, the gopis in Madhurya Rasa are considered to be the highest. And, of course, among the gopis, then, as we saw previously, Radha is the ultimate gopi. So we never have Krishna alone. At least there is Radha and Krishna. Radha and Krishna and the other gopis. And this is what produces the bliss of the spiritual world and the beauty of the spiritual world. So therefore it says that the Lord shone more, additionally, or exceedingly, because he was surrounded by the gopis. So, of course, we can say, well, then the Lord looks like he's dependent. The Lord should be independent and shine by himself. But it is like the Lord falling under control of the devotees or be controlled by prema. No fault in that. It is natural the Lord should respond to the affection of his devotees and fall under their control. If he's completely hard-hearted, that would be a bad quality. So if he's completely overcome by the devotion of the devotee, that's a good quality. So if the Lord is more joyful in association with the devotees, that's not a bad quality, it's a good quality. So therefore the Lord is always with his devotees. He's always with his associates. So it says, like the Lord Purusha with his Shaktis, like the Lord with his Shaktis. And of course it is actually true for Krishna. He is the Lord, and some of these gopis are his Shakti as well, like Radha, Hladini Shakti. So the Lord does not separate from his internal Shakti at any point. And he has his various Shaktis in the spiritual world. Vishnu has 16 Shaktis surrounding him, like, of course, Shri and Pushti and Tushti and others. And they have different particular functions. And through these, pastimes are manifest in Vaikuntha. So similarly, Krishna, as the ultimate form of the Lord, also has his manifestation of Shaktis. And many of them take the form of these gopis. And the ultimate one is Hladini Shakti in the form of Radha. So in combination with the Lord, then, they are responsible for manifesting everything in the spiritual world, all the bliss of the spiritual world. But we also know that not all the gopis are Shakti. There are jivas. Some are Nityasiddha jivas. This is another Shakti of the Lord, of course. The Jiva Shakti, or the Tadastha Shakti. The other is the internal potency of the Lord. So we have the Jiva Shakti also. And then we have Nityasiddhas. And we have Sadhana Siddhas as well. So they also surround the Lord. Not just the Shaktis, but the Jiva Shaktis also are there as part of the Ras Lila. And with them also the Lord responds. So it's not only with his Shakti that the Lord is responding, he's responding to all the Jivas, the Nityasiddhas and the Sadhana Siddhas. And they all get the greatest bliss. So, in this way, Krishna manifested his bliss by manifestation of the Ras Lila surrounded by the gopis, etc. And this produced a very remarkable form of the Lord, which is very, very attractive. You see here. So this points out that the Lord is never separated from his devotee, and it's with the devotee that the Lord gets the greatest bliss, not by himself. So, though there was separation, and Krishna separated himself from all the gopis except for Radha, and then he separated himself from Radha as well, Krishna also could not stay alone. So not only the gopis were in lamentation, Krishna himself could not stay alone for long, and therefore he also appeared very quickly when they did their kirtan. So the feelings are mutual. In separation, the gopis lament, and in separation, Krishna also laments. Of course, not only for the gopis, for all others as well. He's in separation from his other devotees, such as Nanda and Yasoda, etc., when he's separated from them. So, with various persons, there is separation and there is meeting. And all of this is part of the joy of the spiritual world. So, here is the scene where Krishna is surrounded by the gopis, and this gives rise to great bliss. And surrounded by them, they begin to do service to him. So that's described in the next verses here.
You explain this that in Siddhanta, Siddhanta Abhayadapi Sri Shri Krishna Swarupa means there is no difference between Vishnu and Krishna. Siddhanta, but both are Supreme Lord. But there is again difference, Rasana Utkarshate, because the Rasa, correct, and Rupam also, that beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. But can you say that Vishnu doesn't have a rasa with Lakshmi?
What's that?
Vishnu doesn't have any rasa with the Lakshmi?
Yeah, Madhurya rasa.
But then how can you make difference that Krishna, whatever rasa Krishna has with the gopis, that rasa is the higher than the rasa with Lakshmi and Vishnu?
Well, it's even like Krishna has queens in Dwarka. It's also Madhurya rasa. But the rasa with the gopis is higher. So even the queens understand that. Everybody in Dwarka understands that. Because even though Krishna is there, he's thinking of Vrindavan. So, yes, there's Madhurya Rasa with Vishnu, there's Madhurya Rasa with Rama and Sita, and it is intense, but it becomes more intense with Krishna, and particularly with the gopis, because of the nature of Krishna's intimacy there. With the queens in Dwarka, there is a mixture with Aishwarya mood. And of course, obviously with Lakshmi and with Sita, again, the mixture is with Aishwarya.
So there is no varieties, we can say.
Huh?
There is no varieties. There is no varieties. Like,
they don't have the number of consorts that Krishna has, with all those varieties. There is a limited variety in Vaikuntha with Rama and nobody except Sita. But in Vaikuntha, there are a limited number of Shaktis, like 16 Shaktis are described or something like that, of the Lord, whatever. And Lakshmi is the prime person there.
And you're explaining about this Achyuta and Chuta. Chuta means who deviate, or Chuta means who fall. But sometimes for the sadhaka, I think 9th canto or 10th canto is mentioned, I think that Yasyaha Manugram Harisya Taddanushanam. When Lord takes away everything from the devotees, if he is a sadhaka, he feels that, oh, Lord is, doing something injustice for me because he is taking all my material opulence.
What's that? Yes.
Achyuta, you say, Lord, he doesn't, who doesn't fall or who never deviate. Okay, so, but he's supposed to always help the devotees. But for the sadhaka, sometimes, he said that his first mercy is that to take away all of his material opulence. But in the beginning, sadhaka might not understand this. He might...
Well, he doesn't inevitably take anything away, because we see in the case of Dhruva, he gave him a kingdom or whatever like that. Dhruva projected everything in the beginning, went off to the forest, but then the Lord gave him a kingdom. So it's not that everybody that immediately do bhakti, then the Lord takes everything away. In some cases, if it is favorable for their advancement, and they have attachment to material things, the Lord may take those things away. In other cases, the Lord may give things. So we have devotees who have a desire for wealth. We have the 4 types of devotees. So one type of devotee is the one, arta-arti. He desires wealth. So he worships the Lord. And what does the Lord do? He gives him wealth. And that way he gets little faith in the Lord. And then later on, if he understands that he's mature enough, then he may take everything away. And he may surrender fully also. If he's not going to surrender, he may not take it away also. And he may continue like that, giving him more and more and more, and whatever. And then he goes to Svargaloka and Brahmaloka, whatever. And he may go to the spiritual world also, but that type of bhakti is weak. But the Lord will respond to that type of person also. He doesn't necessarily take everything away.
So this Dhruva Maharaj's intention was to get or to sit on the lap of his father, but his intention was not the good. His intention was not the good. Dhruva Maharaj is mixed. You can say that it's not. It's mixed bhakti almost. We can say.
He started with mixed bhakti, definitely.
Yeah. But
and the Lord gave him the kingdom also. He didn't take anything away.
But here Lord is fulfilling his material desire. Lord is fulfilling his material desire. Instead of giving instruction that see you should not take it because this is all material. Better you ask something spiritual. But Dhruva Maharaj didn't ask. Once he is touched by the Lord, then only he understood. Then he was So it's not like means Dhruva Maharaj in the beginning he didn't purify unless Lord touched his hat.
So he was an arta-arti. And the Lord gave him. He didn't take away. He says you shouldn't have anything. He didn't say that. He gave him something. Or a case of Gajendra also. He responded to his prayer and he gave him. He didn't say, okay, you've got impure bhakti, therefore I won't help you, and you can suffer and suffer and suffer, and maybe you're going to surrender. He didn't do that. He helped him. And then Gajendra appreciated that, and then he surrendered to him. So not necessarily the Lord takes everything away. According to the situation, the Lord may or may not give or not give, or take away or whatever.
And in this chapter, only the gopis are mentioned. Manjaris are the servants of the gopis, or we find whenever the Lord comes in
they
this
aspire only to serve Radha and Krishna. For instance, the Manjaris who are in Radha's group, they only strive to help Radha and Krishna meet, and they don't strive for a direct relationship with Krishna.
Maharaj, when we say Rasa Leela, does it refer to the Rasa dance alone, or it includes the related pastimes?
Well,
like
all of
Yamuna,
this
everything.
Yeah, all of this is related, leading up to the actual dance. The actual Rasa dance, of course, is the dance itself, which is a circular dance, in which the Krishna and the gopis form a circle. So that's the Rasa dance as such. But the 5 chapters are all called the 5 chapters on the Rasa Leela, because these are the pastimes leading up to the Rasa Leela. Now, of course, every night you don't get the same pastimes leading up to it, but you get a similar type of dance. But there are other pastimes that are not mentioned.
So then we can say specifically it refers to the dance?
Yeah, ultimately it refers to the dance, yeah.
Maharaj, this is in relation to rasa dance and the part of imitation. Like for example, I don't know, back in the past when we started the movement, like did we have this style of dancing, like some 2 devotees were standing in the middle and they dance and everybody go around them, like Ras Leela. Like I heard very recently from Devikirandan Prabhu was saying that was never a part of our culture. This has been, like in temple hall, devotees when they dance, like 2-3 devotees in the middle, and then there are a lot of other devotees, they're circling around. I mean, it looks like an imitation of rasa dance. So is it, how do we look at that? Is it?
Well, the rasa dance actually is in this part, this is Krishna and the gopi, Krishna and the gopi, Krishna and the gopi. That's the circle in that particular Rasa Leela. So it's a little bit different from what the devotees dancing. Yeah. Well, not all of them. Yeah, and they also join the Rasa Leela if they're qualified. What is that? Well, only if you're pure you go to the spiritual world. You can't enter in with any prakriti, ignorance, karma, material gunas. Plus, you also need endowment of Hladini and Samvit Shaktis of the Lord, which manifest in bhava stage. That qualifies you, so you get a little bit of the chit shakti of the Lord, or the internal potency of the Lord manifesting in the jiva, which establishes your sthayi bhava, which produces rasa with the Lord. So that manifests within bhava stage and matures in prema. Then when you get to prema, then you're qualified to go to the spiritual world, and if it's madhurya rasa, then you're qualified maybe for the rasa lila. No, he's still a jiva. Still a jiva. So we have sadhana siddha jivas, we have nitya siddha jivas. No, there's no distinction once they're all there. No distinction. They're all just involved in serving Krishna and bliss, so there's no distinction of who's who in that sense.
Maharaj, we hear from scriptures that, Nanda Maharaj had 9 lakh cows and then 3 billion gopis were dancing in Ras Leela. And then we know the Vajmandal, which is there in the planet Earth now, maybe practically cannot hold so many people. So in this situation, is it good to understand that this is the numbers which is maybe in the spiritual world, or how do we understand that, Maharaj?
No, actually, the numbers which were spoken were in response to or in the description of the pastimes in the material world. So this means that therefore what we see as Vrindavan is with a limited vision. And ultimately it is a spiritual place, and obviously in a spiritual place then unlimited things can happen in unlimited ways. So unlimited numbers of cows and calves and gopis can fit within the space of Vrindavan, even though to us with material vision it looks like a very limited place. So it's merely our material vision which limits it. That's all.
Maharaj, and also Maharaj is telling about Vishnu and Krishna, they are one Bhagwan, but they are different in terms of the rasa, and also they are eternal. So when all the forms are eternal, how do we understand this word expansion and avatar, Maharaj? It sounds like there is
avatar
a beginning.
merely means appearing within the material world, that's all. Like Krishna appears in the material world, doesn't make him temporary because of that. Expansion also is maybe not, it implies it expanded at one time. But another term used is simply amsa. That's the Sanskrit word, which means part, which means as relation to the original or the root. So Krishna is the root, he is Swayam Bhagavan, everybody else is amsa in one sense because of that.